So this is the first exam, March 2022, a multiple choice exam. The gas which has the fastest diffusion will be the one with the smallest molar mass. We calculated all the molar mass of the compounds and found hydrogen is the smallest one. In which state does 1 decimeter cube of methane contain the most particles? You need to say which one is the most dense. So if you have a certain methane gas available in the 3 physical states, solid and gas and liquid, here I will see that the place which is most dense, where there is no spaces at all, is the solid, and the one which has the least density is the gas, and liquid is in between. So at solid, this is the most dense. This is the most dense. This is the more particles. Here there will be spaces. Here there will be big spaces. So the solid is the most dense, which means it has the most number of particles. Which statement explains why isotopes of the same element have the same chemical properties? The isotopes are elements which are atoms of elements which have the same number of electrons. Because the number of electrons is the same and the electronic structure is the same, then they will have the same chemical properties, because the chemical properties depends on the electronic structure and the number of electrons. The electronic structure of atoms P and Q are shown, and they form an ionic bond. What is the formula of this compound? Mister, this one is P. It has 2 electrons in the first outer shell, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. So this will gain 2 electrons. And this one is 1, 2 in the first shell, and then there is 8, and there is 1. So it will lose 1 electron. When you lose 1 electron, you become Q plus 1. And when you gain 2 electrons, you become P2 minus 2. And then how do we make the formula? We reverse the numbers. So we make the 1 here and the 2 here. So the formula becomes PQ2. This is the answer. For fermentation of sugar produces a mixture of ethanol solution and solid yeast. How is the solid yeast removed from the mixture? This is a good question to come in the exam, because it's related to the organic chemistry alcohol fermentation. So how is the solid yeast removed from the mixture? ازاي هعمل اشيل الsolid yeast from the experiment after I already have made the alcohol filtration? So I have here the mixture already done. I have put the yeast, I have put the sugars, I have put no air, and then I closed. Then the carbon dioxide will be produced and the alcohol, and there is some yeast which is remaining. How can I remove it? Just try to filter it, because it will be filtered here as a yeast, and the alcohol, which is the liquid, will come as the filtrate. So alcohol will come here. This will be the filtrate, and the yeast will be my residue. So this is a good question to come in our exams. The next page, which row explains why copper is a good conductor of electricity at room temperature? Does it have free ions or free electrons? What do you think, Miriam? Copper is a solid, right? So solid has free electrons or free ions?
Free electrons.
Free electrons, very good, because this is a metal, and the metal is made from atoms or positive ions of the copper, and there is delocalized electrons. So it has copper electrons moving freely, but no copper ions, which means the answer is B. This is the only one which is okay. So this might be a good question also to come. Which pair of statements about diamond and graphite is correct? The diamond and graphite, one which was in the exam today, are both pure carbon. They are both macromolecules. هما الاثنين عبارة عن كربون بس. يا مستر هما الاثنين عبارة عن كربون بس. This is a good question also to come. They are both macromolecules. Yes, they are macromolecules. They can both used as electrodes. Graphite is also used as lubricant. ماشي, graphite is used as lubricant. But can diamond be used as electrode in electrolysis? Can we use diamond as electrode? Does diamond conduct electricity? No. It does not. It does not. It does not conduct electricity. And how you can use it? So you cannot use it in the electrodes because it does not conduct electricity. So it can never be used in the electrolysis. So I cannot use the diamond. So this sentence is wrong. Diamond has covalent bonds. Graphite has ionic bonds. طبعا ده كلام فاضي. Both of them contain covalent bonds. هما الاثنين. طب diamond is hard with a high melting point. صح. Graphite is soft with a low melting point. الجملة دي صح ولا لا؟ Diamond is hard with high melting point و graphite is a soft with melting point. في كلمة واحدة بس اللي غلط هنا. One sentence only is all correct except this part. So graphite is soft. Yes, graphite is soft. It's not hard like the diamond, but it doesn't have a low melting point. It has a high melting point. So this one is also wrong. So only the correct answer is A. Right. Sodium nitride contains the nitride ion, which is N3 minus. So sodium مع nitride has N3 minus. وده +1. We know it's +1. It's unstable and decomposes into its elements. What is the equation for the decomposition of the sodium nitride? Mr. I know that in order to make this correct, you have to make the nitride ion with the sodium correctly. How can I make the formula for this one? This is 3 minus and this is +1 and then reverse the numbers. So this become Na3N. So this means that this one can be correct and this one can be correct, but this one is wrong because the formula is not written correctly, and this one is wrong. Again, if you check these two, it is divided into sodium and N2. So I cannot have something called 2N like that. I cannot have something called 2N. The nitrogen is a diatomic molecule, only available as N2. So this is the correct answer only. This is the correct answer. Compound X contains carbon and hydrogen and oxygen. By mass, it contains 26.7 carbon and 2.2 hydrogen. What is the empirical formula of X? This is also a good question to come. It contains 26.7. How can we find the empirical formula? We can make the number of moles of every one of them. So number of moles is equal to mass over molar mass. What is the mass of carbon? I don't have the mass, but I have it as percentage. So this is enough. 26.7 out of every 100 grams is carbon, and 2.2 is hydrogen. But what about the oxygen? How can I find out oxygen? I can make the oxygen with what? With subtraction. So I can subtract the rest of the amount from the hydrogen. I'm trying to find my calculator. So I'll try to subtract the 100 from the carbon and the hydrogen. So I have 100 minus 26.7 minus 2.2. So 71.1 grams is oxygen. Okay, this is divided by the molar mass of carbon, which is 12, and this is divided by 1, and this is divided by 16. Let's see the answer. 71.1 divided by 16 is 4.44. This is 2.2. And 26.7 divided by 12 is 2.2 again. So let's see the ratios. It's very clear, but if you want, you can divide every one of them by the smallest value. So divide all of them. It's very clear, but we'll just do it by the smallest value. So divide by 2.2, divide by 2.2, divide by 2.2. You will get 1 to 1 to 2. So the ratio is 1 carbon to 1 hydrogen to 2 oxygen, and this is only available in this structure, which is CHO2. So our answer is D. The calcium fluoride is an ionic compound. So if you want to ask me, this can come in the exam, yes, of course it can come. This is an ionic compound. Which statement about cesium fluoride are correct? Which statement about the cesium fluoride are correct? It conducts electricity when solid. It has a high melting point. It's soluble in water. It's highly volatile. So we are still answering. We are still answering paper March 2022. This is still March 2022. This is paper 22 in the past papers. So which statement about cesium fluoride is correct? This is cesium. And this is fluoride. It is an ionic compound. This is +1 and this is -1. So the structure is just CSF. It conducts electricity when solid. We know that the ionic compound does not conduct electricity when it is solid. It only conducts electricity when it is molten only. So this is wrong. It has a high melting point. Yes. it is soluble in water. Oh, how can I know? This is group 1, mister. So this is group 1. So group 1 is soluble in water, yes. And it is highly volatile, لا يا mister. It has a very high melting point. So if it has high melting point, there is no chance that it is volatile. Volatile means it has a low boiling point. زي ما كنا امبارح بنقول على الحاجات اللي في البتروليوم، وكنا بنقول الحاجات اللي فوق ليها low boiling point. The fractions down has high boiling point. So this one is volatile, but these ones are non-volatile. So substance which is volatile, which means it can be evaporated even if there is no heat, should have a low boiling point. So only 2 and 3 is correct, which is number C. So number C is the right answer only. Which diagram shows the direction of movement of ions and electrons during the electrolysis of molten sodium chloride? Let's see. Movement of ions and electrons. Mister, which one is ions and electrons movement? We can see that the positive ions goes to the negative, and the negative one goes to the positive. So this is easy to see. Mister, which one? There is positive ions. The Na plus goes to the negative, and Cl minus goes to the positive. Yes, this because this is plus and this is minus. So this is okay. And Na plus goes to the positive. There is no chance that the positive ions goes to the positive. This is wrong. This is wrong. And again, the Na plus goes to the positive again. So, but he reversed them. So again, this is wrong. The Na plus can go to the negative. Yes, this might be correct. So we have two options which can be correct, A and D. But now speaking about the movement of ions, خلاص, is it done for the movement of ions? But what about the movement of electrons? Here in the movement of electrons, he's showing that the electrons is going here from the cathode and then going to the anode side. And in D, it's saying that it's going from the negative side, from the positive side and going to the negative. We know that this is a battery. This is a battery. This is a plus side. So this is the plus side. And this is the negative side. So this is the plus side of the battery and negative side. What does the battery looks like inside? The battery is like the galvanic cell inside. So it's made from negative and positive. This is the galvanic cell inside. So if you looked inside the power supply, it looks like that. And how did the electrons move here inside the battery? Inside the wire, it moves from the negative to the positive. So it moves from the negative to the positive inside the wire. So here, negative to the positive. So it goes like that. But if you said that it is moving like that from the positive to the negative, it will be wrong. So this one is wrong. And this A is the only one which is right. This is also a good question to come in the exam. It will be a little bit confusing. Okay. Question number 12. We are still in exam number 2022 in March exam in paper 22. The calcium carbonate reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce carbon dioxide. The equation for the reaction is shown. The relative formula mass of calcium carbonate is 100. 10 grams of calcium carbonate is reacted with an excess of dilute hydrochloric acid. Which mass of carbon dioxide is produced? Mister, if you make this equation like that and write it aside here, so this is my equation, and then after that you looked at the number of moles of every one, you will see the number of moles is 1 in all. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So all of them are 1. And then what did he give you? He said 10 grams of calcium carbonate. So I can put here 10 grams, but this is moles, mister. So either change this one into moles or change this one into grams. So let me see. I can change the 10 grams into moles of calcium carbonate. So I can say moles of calcium carbonate is equal to mass over molar mass. What is the mass? 10. And what is the molar mass of calcium carbonate? From the periodic table, the calcium is, from the periodic table here, I can see the calcium is almost 40. So it is 40. Let's make it smaller. So this is 40, this is 12, this is 16 into 3, which is 48. So let's do it. 16 into 3 is 48 plus 12 plus 40, that's equal to 100. So 10 over 100 If you divided 10 by 100, you will get 0.1. So I have changed this one from 10 grams into 0.1 moles. And what is the mass of carbon dioxide produced? Mr. Carbon dioxide here, you want it as mass, but here it is moles. So also change this one into mass. How to change carbon dioxide into mass? From moles into mass. So again, mass of carbon dioxide is equal to number of moles multiplied by molar mass. Number of moles is 1. Molar mass is 44. 12 plus 32. So it is 44 grams. So remove this one and put 44. Now you can make the cross multiplication between the calcium carbonate and the carbon dioxide. Here is 1 mole, and here is 0.1 mole. And here is 44 grams, and here you want to know the mass in grams. So now you can make the cross multiplication, which is 44 multiplied by 0.1, that's 44 multiplied by 0.1, that's 4.4, which is our answer here. Number 12 is C. We're going a little bit fast, but you can imagine the people answering these exams. They have only 40 questions, and the time allocated is 45 minutes. So this means that they have to answer every question in 1 minute maximum. That's why we are going very fast, also to finish as much as we can. Right. The molten sodium chloride and concentrated aqueous sodium chloride are electrolyzed using platinum electrodes. What is the product as a negative electrode in each electrolysis? So I'm making molten sodium chloride. Is plus and minus. And concentrated aqueous sodium chloride are electrolyzed using platinum electrodes. So I have NaCl. In the first case, it's molten. In the second case, it's aqueous. So in the case of molten, there is no water. It's only Na plus and Cl minus, and Na goes to the minus, so it is sodium. But in the case of concentrated NaCl, there is Na plus and Cl minus, and H and OH. Mister, there is Na and H. Which one goes to the negative? The less reactive or the more reactive? The less reactive one, which is the hydrogen. Sodium is more reactive than hydrogen, so the less reactive goes. So hydrogen is the one that's correct. Mister, hydrogen, this one and this one. So this means that our answer is C. This is a good question to come in the exam. This is a good question to come in the exam. An object is electroplated with silver using an aqueous silver salt at the electrolyte. Which row is correct? The object to be electroplated is, the object to be, the electrode is made from is what? We know this one. Can somebody remind me? If you have electroplating, which one you are putting as a plus and minus, huh? Which one I put at plus and which one I put at minus? I'm trying to electroplate an object with silver. And I have silver salt here. And I want to electroplate an object with silver. هحط السيلفر بتاعي فين والobject بتاعتي فين؟ Well, it means make it easier for you. Anode and cathode. Miriam, huh? Anode, what do I put in the anode for electroplating? Mister, in electroplating, what do I put? In the electroplating, Mister, in the positive side, you put the metal that you want to use. So the object, the metal that you are going to use is placed in the positive. So it is in the silver. This is the silver. And the object that you will make electroplating for, this is the object, you are putting in the negative. You are putting in the cathode. You are putting in the cathode. So the only correct answer is this one, which is D. This is the correct answer, D. Remember the subject that you want to electroplate. If you want to electroplate a watch, you will put it on the negative, on the cathode, and the anode contains the metal that you will electroplate with. I'm going to electroplate this object with silver. Which row describes the changes that occur in an endothermic reaction? Mister, this is an endothermic reaction. What does it do? The temperature decreases in the endothermic reaction. The temperature decreases. But what happens to the energy change, Yusuf? What happens to the energy change? It's given out or taken in from the surroundings. If you have exothermic reaction, endothermic reaction, what happens?
endothermic هتعمل take in.
Take in. So it's the energy taken in. So the answer is C. Very good. Which statement about fuel is correct? Heat energy is only produced by burning fuel. This is a good question to come also. Which statement about fuels is Which statement about fuels is correct? Heat energy is only produced by burning fuels. Heat energy is only produced by burning fuels. لا مش شرط. I'm having uranium and uranium can produce energy without burning. So I can produce heat energy without burning anything. Hydrogen is used as a fuel, although it is difficult to store. Yes, that's correct. Methane is a good fuel because it produces only water. الكلام ده صح؟ لا طبعا يا مستر، الميثين بيديني carbon dioxide and water, so it's not only water. That's wrong. And uranium is burned in air to produce energy. We just said that uranium is giving energy, no burning. من غير ما اعمل burning ولا حاجة. Which statement about endothermic and exothermic reaction is correct? Endothermic reaction, less energy is absorbed in bond breaking than released in bond forming. Mister, there are two steps which happen in the reaction. There is reactants and there is products. In the reactants, energy is what? Is absorbed, because this is breaking bonds, and breaking needs endothermic reaction. And here energy is released. So let me see. He said energy is absorbed, so this might be correct. And energy is absorbed in endothermic reaction. And energy which is absorbed is in bond breaking is less than the energy which is released. يعني طلع energy كتير قوي يا مستر. يبقى اسمها ازاي endothermic? It cannot be endothermic if you said that there is too much heat is released. So this is wrong. In an endothermic reaction, activation energy is always higher than in an exothermic reaction. الاكتيفيشن energy اعلى من الاندوثيرميك reaction. مفيش اي حاجه قالت لنا كده. In exothermic reaction, more energy is absorbed in bond breaking than is released in bond forming. نفس الكلام. bond breaking, more energy is absorbed in bond breaking than is released in bond making. بص كده يا مستر، الانرجي اللي انا عملت لها absorbing في البوند بريكنج اعلى من الانرجي اللي ريليزد ان ذا بوند ميكنج. بس ده يا مستر كده ما يبقاش اكزو. لو عملت هنا اكتر، لو الابزوربد اكتر، يبقى ازاي اكزو؟ تبقى اندو مش اكزو. So this is wrong. And in exothermic reaction the reactants are higher on an energy level diagram. مين اللي كانت بتبقى higher في الاكزو؟ لا الاكزو يعني الهيت ريليزد، يعني البرودكتس is the one that's higher. The reactants are higher. لا يا مستر الاكزو دي الاندو اللي انت رسمتها، دي الاندو. This one is endo. This is exo. So this is reactants and then you go down into products because كان عندك heat, you have a lot of heat and then now the heat decreased. So this is the amount of heat decreased. So this is an exothermic reaction. So this is the only correct answer. This is a very good question to come also in the exam. We are required to know this chapter from grade 10. The reaction used to manufacture ammonia from nitrogen and hydrogen. This is a very, very good question that comes in the exam. Is an لأنه في equilibrium وفي nitrogen topic. So two topics in one question. That's why they like it too much. Which statement describes the equilibrium? Both forward reaction and backward reaction have the same rate. طبعا يا مستر. This is what's happening in equilibrium. The rate of the backward reaction is greater. ازاي يا مستر؟ This is equilibrium. So there is no chance in the backward is greater ولا ان الفورورد يبقى greater ولا ان both are stopped. احنا عارفين ان الميكروسكوبيك processes continue ولا stop يا عبد الحكيم؟ processes they what? They continue. So they cannot say that they have stopped. So this is wrong also. So this is the right answer, number 80A. How does increasing the concentration affect the reacting particles in a chemical reaction? Increasing the concentration, if I have this container and this container, I have four particles hitting each other, and I have all these particles hitting each other. If you increase the concentration, means you increase the number of particles hitting each other, so the collision rate increases. But does this increase the activation energy? No, it has no relation to the activation energy. مستر امال ايه الحاجه اللي بتزود الاكتيفيشن energy? Instead of saying concentration, saying temperature. If you increase the temperature, the activation energy increases. But if you decrease the particle, no, I'm sorry, it does not increase the activation energy, increases the particles that have energy equal to the activation energy or more than it. لكن if you increase the concentration, you are only increasing the collision rate. There is no relation to the particles which have energy equal to the activation energy. So this is your answer. Methyl orange is added to dilute hydrochloric acid and to aqueous sodium hydroxide. What is the color of the methyl orange in each solution? طبعا لازم يكون عارفين الcolors. This is also good. Methyl orange is added to dilute hydrochloric. What is the color of the methyl orange in each solution? color في dilute hydrochloric acid هيكون red، والcolor هيكون في aqueous sodium hydroxide. What is the color in hydroxide? It is yellow. And in the neutral, it is orange. Zinc oxide is an amphoteric oxide. احنا عندنا الميثايل orange, so this is also a good question. بس لما تقول الامتحان كله خلاص. Zinc oxide is an amphoteric oxide. Which types of substance will react with zinc oxide? Zinc oxide can react with zinc oxide is amphoteric, so it can react with acids ولا bases ولا both of them? Both of them. So it can react with acids and bases. الاسيدز بس يبقى حاجه basic، البيزك بس يبقى حاجه acidic. Neither acids or bases يبقى neutral oxide. دي acidic oxide. Information about some silver compounds is showing. Solubility in water. Silver carbonate الفورميولا بتاعته is Ag plus and carbonate is 2 minus, so reverse them, so it will be Ag2CO3. And this is silver chloride AgCl, correct? AgNO3. Silver oxide is Ag2O. So this all are okay. What about the solubility in water? ايه اللي صح الكلام ده في السوليبيليتي؟ الوحيده اللي السوليبيليتي silver oxide is insoluble. sorry, in nitrate is soluble عشان nitrate. الكلورايد is insoluble، احنا عارفين الكلام ده. الكربونات is insoluble، احنا عارفين الكلام ده. So these three are correct. This is the only one which cannot, which is insoluble. Okay, this is insoluble. Which equation shows a reaction which cannot be used to make a silver salt? Mister, I need to make a silver salt. So this is by precipitation. Is this by precipitation؟ اقدر استخدم ده في البرسيبيتيشن. aqueous salt مع aqueous salt. Precipitation aqueous salt مع aqueous salt. This is AgCl insoluble. So aqueous salt مع aqueous salt عملوا لي ده. So it's okay. انا بقول cannot be used. طيب silver nitrate. silver oxide مع nitric acid base وacid يديني salt and water. It's okay. طيب اللي بعده silver metal carbonate مع nitric acid يديني النيتريت اللي هو السولت ويديني ووتر وكربون دايوكسيد. This is O. طيب السيلفر مع ال HCl يديني سيلفر كلورايد و H2. لا انا ما اقدرش اعمل السولت من الميتال مع ال HCl بس. ليه يا مستر ما اقدرش اعمل السولت مع الميتال من ال HCl؟ Can anybody tell me why this is wrong? Okay, which one is more reactive, silver or hydrogen? The hydrogen is more reactive. So can the silver substitute the hydrogen and react with it? No, it cannot substitute it. So this is no reaction because silver is less reactive. This is a good equation to come. Like equation, aqueous ethanoic acid is a weak acid. Aqueous sodium hydroxide is a strong base. Aqueous ethanoic acid is neutralized by aqueous sodium hydroxide. Which statement are correct? لما احط الصوديوم hydroxide with the ethanoic acid C2H5COOH. I'm sorry, CH3COH. Aqueous ethanoic acid accepts proton from the hydroxide. Mister, this is a base and this is an acid. The acid accept proton. مين اللي قال الكلام ده؟ لا طبعا غلط. acid donates proton, not accepts proton. The aqueous ethanoic acid used is fully dissociated into ions. This is a weak acid. يوسف الweak acid completely dissociate ولا partially بس dissociate? Partially. So this is wrong. The aqueous sodium hydroxide used is fully dissociated. The strong, yeah. So strong. Can I say it's fully dissociated? Yes. The reaction produces salt and water. Yes, Mr. Any base and acid give me salt and water. So this means that 3 is correct and 4 is correct. So both of them are correct, which means the answer is D. 3 properties of the element X are listed. It contains atoms with an outer shell of electrons. It is monoatomic. It is unreactive. What is this group, ya Miriam? Outer shell, monoatomic and unreactive. Which group is that? What is the elements which has? So it is C. It's group 8. So it's group 8. Which word equation represents a reaction that occurs? Sodium oxide plus carbon يديني sodium plus carbon dioxide. Sodium oxide plus carbon يديني sodium plus carbon dioxide. This means that the carbon was able to kick the sodium out. Of course, this never happens. Now, sodium oxide plus iron give me iron and give me sodium and iron oxide, iron 2 oxide. This means that the iron was able to kick the sodium. Of course, this cannot happen because iron also is less reactive. طب يا مستر الأيرون oxide plus الكبر يديني Fe مع copper 2 oxide. معنى ذلك ان الكبر was able to kick the iron. Also, it is less reactive. أمال إيه يا مستر؟ Let's see. Fe2O3 plus carbon يديني iron and carbon dioxide. Can this happen يا عبد الحكيم? Where did you see this? In the extraction of iron, huh? Can the carbon kick the iron? Yes, the carbon can kick iron outside and displace it. And we have seen that in the reactions of the blast furnace because the carbon is more reactive than iron. لكن هنا العكس, this is no reaction, no reaction, no reaction because the element that's trying to substitute the other one is less reactive. This is also a very good question. Which statement about the extraction of aluminum is correct? Aluminum is formed at the cathode during the electrolysis of aluminum oxide. Aluminum is plus, هتروح ناحية الكاثود. Is this a good answer? Yes. The positive goes to the cathode, which is negative. That's correct. Okay, hematite is mainly aluminum oxide. الكلام ده صح عبد الحكيم؟ hematite عبارة عن aluminum oxide ولا البوكسايت عبارة عن aluminum oxide؟ البوكسايت يا مستر مش الهيماتايت. الهيماتايت ده للايرون مش للالومنيوم. molten cryolite is used to raise the melting point of the aluminum oxide. ايه رايك يا يوسف؟ raise the melting point ولا lower the melting point؟ lower. So this is wrong. Oxygen gains electrons at the anode during the electrolysis of aluminum oxide. الاكسجين gains electrons at the anode. No يا مستر. الاكسجين ions loses electrons عشان تديني O plus 2 electrons وهم 2 مع بعض دايما يبقى هنا 2 يبقى هنا 4 electrons. The oxygen loses electrons at the anode. It does not gain electrons. So the only correct answer is A. The metal M is mixed with copper to produce brass. ايه هو الميتال اللي انا بعمل له mixing مع الكبر عشان يبقى يديني brass? This is zinc for sure. This is also important. The table gives some properties of an element. Which other property does this element have? The melting point بتاعتها is very high. Appearance is gray. Appearance of the chloride is dark blue. Density is 19.2. Electrical conductivity when solid is good. حد عارف ايه هو الاليمنت ده؟ عروستي. Melting point is C. Appearance is element gray. Appearance of the chloride. What is this substance? حد عنده فكرة؟ طب it can act as a catalyst. It is brittle. It forms an acidic oxide. It is highly reactive with water. مستر انت بتتكلم على substance conduct electricity when solid. مين الاليمنت اللي conduct electricity when solid؟ مين الاليمنتس اللي هل هي الميتال ولا الايونيك كومباوندز؟ لسه قايلها لي انت يا مريم من شويه. مريم ها، metals ولا ionic compounds conduct when solid؟ metals. لكن ionic compounds does not conduct when solid, conduct only when they are molten or aqueous. So you are speaking about a metal. Which one do you think is strong and have very high melting point يا مريم؟ The group 1 metals ولا the transition metals? Which one has higher melting point, very high melting point like that? Transition, very good. The transition have very high melting point, and you are speaking about metal, so most probably you are speaking about transition metals. How did you know, mister? You said it's conducting electricity when solid, so 100% it is metal. And the metals of group 1 has very low melting point, so they cannot be considered high melting point, so it's for sure transition. What is a property of transition metal? It acts as catalyst. Don't forget the three properties of the transition metals. They act as catalyst. They do what? They have multiple valency. So they can be +2, +3. They have multiple valencies. And they make colored compounds. They make colored compounds. Ammonia is produced using the Haber process. This is a very good question also. Ammonia is produced using the Haber process, which row shows the sources of the raw material and the reaction conditions. النيتروجين بجيبه منين يا مستر؟ بجيب النيتروجين من الهواء. literally من الهواء فعلا. بعمل للهواء fractional distillation, so practically it's coming from air. And the hydrogen is coming from what? From the cracking of the hydrocarbons. So cracking of hydrocarbons. The temperature is 450 and the pressure is 200. This is a very, very important question might come. How many species are acting as bases in this reversible reaction؟ إيه مستر السؤال ده؟ ال HNO gains a proton. عرفت منين يا مستر؟ ما هو بقى H3O plus وده lost a proton. ده lost a proton يبقى دوت acid. طب لو عملت reversible reaction المرة دي البروتون هيروح من هنا لهنا. مستر مش فاهم حاجة. If you were speaking about the forward reaction like that. So this is the forward reaction. Which one lost a proton? This one lost a proton. أو تحول من HNO3 إلى NO3 بس. طيب لو عملت الإيكويشن العكس. So this is the acid. لو كتبت الإيكويشن بالعكس ال H3O plus NO3 minus تديني H2O و HNO3. مين المرة دي اللي lost البروتون؟ ال H3O plus. ليه؟ لأنه تحول إلى H2O. So this is the acid now. This means I have two acids. طب وفين البيزس؟ This one got the proton اتحول من H2O ل H3 plus يبقى ده البيز. وهنا ده اللي خد البروتون اتحول من NO3 minus to HNO3. So this is base. So I have two structures acting as base and two as acids. بيقول لي كام واحد acting as base. The equation for a reaction occurring in the contact process is showing. What is the catalyst used in this reaction? Very, very important. ايه الكاتاليست اللي انا بستخدمه في الكونتاكت process? Anybody knows what is the catalyst used in the contact process?
vanadium oxide.
Vanadium ممتاز. Vanadium pentoxide. So it is 31D. Which information about carbon dioxide and methane is correct? Formed when vegetation decomposes. Greenhouse gas present in unpolluted gas produced during respiration. So I can say that it is both of them are greenhouse gases. They cause that increase in the temperature, carbon dioxide and methane. Type. Structure of an ester. This is an ester. What are the names of the carboxylic acid and alcohol that react together to form this ester? Hakim, where are you? Where is the carboxylic acid and where is the alcohol? Mister, this is the carboxylic acid. And where is the alcohol? Hi, Hakim, what is the name of the carboxylic acid and what's the name of the alcohol? non responsive خالص النهارده يا حكيم. الو. اوكي 1 2. This is ethanoic acid.
ethanoic acid وبروبان 1 all.
ممتاز. So it is ethanoic acid and propan 1 all. This is the structure this is the compounds that made the ester. ممتاز. طيب which statement about lime are correct? Lime is made by. This is a very good question طبعا مش عايز اقول جدا. اكتر حاجه طبعا بيجي منها اسئله من الاي جي هي التوبكس دايما بيجي منها اسئله اكتر من المين شابترز. اوكي طيب which statement about lime are correct? Don't worry about this question, but if you want to know, the lime is the calcium carbonate breaks down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. This is called limestone and this is called lime. So lime is made by heating calcium carbonate, limestone. So this is correct. Lime is used to desulfurize flue gases. الجازز الأسيدك دايما بتحط عليها البيزك بيعملوا desulfurization. So this is correct. And lime is used also. So lime is also used to treat alkaline soil. لا, هي used to treat acidic soil. And the chemical name for the lime is calcium oxide. Yes, this is calcium oxide. So these three are okay. طيب, is this an ethanoic acid يا مريم? Is this an ethanoic acid? Is this correctly named? Is this ethanoic acid? 1 2 3 كده يبقى ethanoic ولا propanoic؟ Propanoic. So this is wrong. What about this one? Is this an ethene?
Yes.
هل فيها double bond?
No.
No double bond. So is this ethene or ethane?
It's not ethene.
It's not ethene. It's an ethane. This is also wrong. Ethanol, is this correct? Yes. 1 2 ethanol. What about this one? Is this a propane or propene? This is
Propene.
propene. So this is wrong. The only one which is correct is number C. Right. Number 36, the structure of part of polymer is showing. Which monomer can be used to make this polymer? Oh, this is a good question. So which polymer I can use to make this polymer? Mister, let's do what we are doing always. C double bond C, put the CH3 at the top here, put the H at the bottom here, put the Cl here and put the H here, remove the double bond, and then repeat. And then join them together. Mister, does this look like this one? CLH, H و CH3. Yes, this is okay. CLH, CH3H, CLH, نفس الكلام, and keep repeating. طب does this one will be okay? C double bond C, H, Cl, CH3, H. شيل يا مستر الدبل بوند, شلناها. عيد دوت مرة كمان, اللي هو B. And then join them together. Does this one look like this one? CLH و HCH3. CLH, H و CH3. لا تاني. CLH, HCH3. CLH, H و CH3. So this one is okay. طب is this one okay? خلينا نبص على ده. So until now, number 1 and 2 is correct. Is number 1 and 2. Number 3. خلينا نشوف الكومباوند ده. اللي هو number 3 CH C double bond وبعدين H و Cl and H. Remove the double bond وبعدين repeat. Let me see if this is similar to our compound. CH3Cl. مفيش ولا واحدة شفنا CH3 وال Cl on the same carbon أبدا زي دي. This is CH3 and Cl on the same carbon. It never occurred here. ال H و CH3 on the same carbon but never. So this is wrong. طب ودي يا مستر, how can I make this one? Again C double bond C. نفس الكلام برضو. CH3 وال Cl on the same carbon. This never happened here. If you draw both of them, لو عملت ده برضو, so C double bond C, Cl H, CH3 Cl وشيل الدبل bond and repeat, you will find that this is also not correct because there is never here I see مش شايف ولا مرة هنا الكربون عليها H و CH3 في نفس الوقت. بينما هنا في CH3 و Cl على نفس الكومباوند, so this is wrong. So the only correct ones are A and 1 and 2, so this is answer A. If all answers are revised according to the mark scheme, we can make sure that this is A correct also. Carboxylic acids are made by the oxidation of alcohols. Yes. Which carboxylic acid is produced from CH3, CH2, OH? Mr. The number of carbon atoms never changes. So this is a good question, by the way, just to tell, and this is one also. أنه الكربوكسيليك أسيد اللي اتعمل من CH3, CH2, OH؟ لسه مش هنا يا عبد الحكيم؟ زي ما أنت عيان عندك بلوك نوز زيي. Okay, so I have two carbons here, two carbons. And what will be the acid formed, يا يوسف? If you have two carbons in the alcohol, what acid will be produced? Also two carbons. ايه رأيك؟ هنا فين الاسيد اللي فيه two carbons يا يوسف؟
Ethanoic.
الله, الحمد لله على السلامة. Okay. ماشي, ethanoic is the correct one. Propene reacts with bromine in an addition reaction. Which structure represents the product of this reaction? Mister, if you added three carbons and added to them bromine, the bromine can be attached here. Okay. And attached here, is it okay? And attached here, is it okay? And attached here is okay. Mister, for me, they all look correct. But in fact, not all of them is correct. The only chance that's correct is this one. Mister, I need to know very well why this is the correct one. The bromines can be added only on adjacent carbon. خد بالك من الحته دي. It can be added on adjacent carbons. These two carbons are beside each other. The bromine can be added here and here. This is far from each other. It cannot be far from each other. This is on the same carbon. No. This is one bromine. So whenever you add a bromine on a double bond, يعني you have propene, C double bond C and H, 1H, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you want to add bromine, you will add bromine فين يا مستر؟ I will add one here and one here. يبقوا لازم يكونوا ايه يا مريم؟ They have to be adjacent carbons. You will remove this double bond and you will make bond here and here. يبقى لازم يكون البرومينز are placed on carbons that are adjacent جنب بعض بس, ما ينفعش يكونوا بعاد عن بعض, ما ينفعش يتضافوا على نفس الكربون, ما ينفعش يتضافوا على واحده والثانيه لا. ليه؟ Because you are acting bromine, Pr2. So how many bromine atoms? Two bromine atoms together. Because they have to be added on the adjacent carbon atoms. Which statement about ethanol correct? Ethanol that used as solvent, of course, yes. Can be made directly from ethane. هل في حد جه قبل كده قال لنا ان الايثانول الالكولز بتتعمل من ايثين؟ لا يا مستر. امال بتتعمل من مين؟ من ايثين. You can make an alcohol from an alkene, but not from by adding water, but not from an ethane. So this is wrong. Ethanol is a covalent compound for sure. كل الorganic compounds are covalent compounds. So 1 and 3 only is correct, so C is the answer. And our last question is number 40. Which diagram represents the structure of nylon? السؤال دوت is a very important question. The nylon is a polyamide or polyester. في حد مذاكر البوليمرز? Is this a polyamide or polyester? The polyamide. وايه الحاجه اللي فيها polyamide group هنا يا مستر اللي باينه؟ Is this the polyamide ولا this one is the polyamide؟ اساعدكم. مين فيهم؟ الرايت نمبر A ولا نمبر B؟ مين فيهم البولياميد ومين فيهم البوليستر؟ ايه رايك يا يوسف؟ B. ممتاز. B is the polyamide. Where can you see it? A ولا B ولا C ولا D؟ I can see it here يا مستر. And I can see it here. And I can see it here. But it's not A. So for sure it's not A. Because A is the ester. This is COO. And this is ester. طيب مستر, which one of this will be correct? One of them is only correct. Does anyone want to get a chance? حد عايز يجرب شوف. So this one is okay, this is okay, this is okay. So either B or C or D. Which one will be Okay, and which not?
C.
C. Why it's C? كويس جدا برافو. ليه؟
There's more than one.
There is more than.
One.
يعني إيه there is more than one؟
amide.
جميل جدا. لازم يكون الاستراكشر اللي عندك يا مستر يكون في نفس الرسمة على الناحيتين. So if you have C double bond OH on one side, the other one will be on the other side C double bond OH. بص كده، هنا عندي COOH، يعني كان في عندي هنا C double bond O. هنا عندي برضو الاستراكشر ده COO، لكن الناحية التانية فيه ايه؟ NH. لا غلط، ما ينفعش. So you have to make a poly acid diacid مع diamide. يعني واحد هنا كده وواحد هنا كده. لازم يكون يا مستر الشكل ده في NH2 هنا و NH2 هنا وفي COH هنا، دول الاثنين compounds اللي will join together. So we need to make some revision session about this one esters again and polyamides and polyesters again. So this one يا مستر لازم يكون فيه 2 COH على الناحيتين. هنا يا مستر I can see this compound has واحدة COH هنا وواحدة NH2، ما ينفعش. لكن هنا في الناحيتين NH2 NH2. So this is correct. هنا برضو على الناحيتين واحدة من الناحية هنا NH2 واحدة COH. لا، الكلام ده بيكون في حاجة اسمها الامينو اسيد. We'll make a revision session about this next time. So this is only one which is correct. This is wrong and this is wrong. طبعا مذاكر. Cormers will find this is a very nice question. Okay. So at least we finished the exam. We're not able to finish 3 exams as we thought we will do. For the exam time طبعا المفروض ان الكلام ده بياخد 45 minutes. Can you imagine? This is 45 minutes. Of course, it took more time from us for the explanation, but this means that you have to be very good. You have to be very good in order to answer this. Okay, I'll try to make some more